Okay, so this next tutorial is on if statements in C#. Again, if you go to iCode with Ben, the Medium channel, which is the same as the YouTube channel, you can find the articles there, which I'll link below. I've also got links to this W3C schools page, which you need to read through, but I'm going to do some examples with you on how if statements work. Again, you'll need to open up your replit. So you could continue from the old replit if you like, or you can make a new one. Let's call this if statements. And I'm just going to show you how you can create an if statement, check a condition, and then do something different with it. So the whole thing about computing is you have variables, you have inputs. I'll show you how to get an input in a minute from the user. And depending on what that input is, or the value of that variable, you want to do something, or you want to do something else. So that's essentially what programming is. Because of this thing, you do this, else you do that. So let's create some variables. So the classic one is age. So age 42. Right, if I want to write an if statement, I say if, the keyword, then I have in normal brackets the condition. The condition is if age is less than 18. Then we have the squiggly brackets where we need to write our code, and everything that we want to happen if this thing is true should go in here. So we're going to write, just to do a simple console.write line, you are under 18 years old, right? Else, we're going to say, well, as you can imagine, I'll copy that, you're over 18, you are an adult. Okay. If you want to check the variable of Boolean like we did before, so this is why Booleans are important. This expression here will evaluate either true or false, depending on what this value is, right? So essentially, this is a Boolean expression, right? The result of it can be true or false. It can't be anything else than that. It's 1 or 0, true or false. So what do we need to do now? We're going to run this, and you'll see what happens. See, I've got age 42, so this bit will be false. That won't execute, therefore it will execute the else condition. Now, with an if statement, you don't always have to have an if else, but usually you want to do something else, you want to do something else, right? If we wanted to add in another condition in here before we get to this final else, we could have an else if here, and we could say else if, say age is less than or equal to 21, and so we're combining conditions. Now age is greater than 18. What do we want to say here? We're going to output a different message. You are a young adult, right? So we're doing several different things here. We've got an if bit, and then if that's true, we do this. But then we've got an else if. So if you look at this example page from W3C Schools, they have articles on each different section. They have an else if, else if else, like this. Their simple example is about time. R1 is about age. And I'm actually combining conditions here. So in, there we go, and it's finally printed out. It says you're an adult. I'm not between 21 and 18. I'm not under 18. I'm over 18. So therefore, I'm an adult. So it goes to this final else condition. This will always happen, even if these two are false. So if you want to, if I change this now though, I change the value of age and I put it to 20 and I run this again, you can guess that this one is not going to be true, but this one will be true, the else if. Therefore, it's going to print out you are a young adult. And what we're doing here, we're doing something quite like new, but often used, where we're combining two conditions. And this is saying, if this is true and this is true, so only if this is true and this is true, then we do this thing, right? So it says you're a young adult, it executes that. If you go back to the if page, it has the different comparison operators, which you can see: less than or equal to, greater than equal to, or not equal to. But if we want to combine conditions, so here we're using less than or equal to, here we're using greater than, just like in maths. But if we want to combine conditions, we've got and. This means and. It's a logical and that means both must be true for it to be true. This means or, which means one or both conditions must be true. So like, if it is raining, which I'll use as an example in a minute, or what could be too good, or how could we use or? We could say, okay, if I'm over 18 or I have fake ID, so if I'm under 18 or I have fake ID, I can get served, right? So you're either going to pretend you're over 18, don't recommend doing this, or you know, when you're younger, or you can get some fake ID to say you're over 18. Either way, those conditions are going to result in you getting a drink, or you can have both. You can have fake ID and be over 18, but you wouldn't need the fake ID then. So you've got this or condition, and you've got this exclamation mark, which means not, which means that it just means, for example, not equal. So the conditions are not equal, or just not reverses the condition. So if I say I'm not happy, that is the opposite of being happy, right? I am happy. But if I said I was not happy, then it's like the opposite of that. So you've got and, or, and not. So how can we use this or condition? So you've seen how you can use the and. How can we use the or condition? Well, we could say, let's create a boolean. Have fake ID. We're going to say true. We're going to make our age 16, 17. You know, it's usually the age you try and start drinking illegally. And then we're going to say if age is greater than 18, then we can use it or have fake ID. So if either one of those are true, then we're going to say you can get served alcohol. Although I don't recommend getting fake ID, and I'm not endorsing that. So that's how we can use this or condition. And this is how we can use these Boolean variables I mentioned in the last video to test something. Obviously, if I change that to false now, so if I run that now, you'll see that it will print out in the console, you can get served, because one of these is true. Either one of these is true or both, right? So one or both conditions must be true. Whereas when we've got an and, both of those conditions must be true for that whole expression to evaluate as true. Okay.